Alright, back at Seattle. Here's the new coily hose that was installed on the double rack system down the side. Slides out, filed that down so that very simply tucked away. Here's the other one I put in. Did the same thing with that handle. Just tucks away, it's out of the way. Hose is out of the way. Here's just, alright. Everything's done here. Drain line. We'll look back at the rows. Everything looks good there. Coming around, see the drain line, the cart. Here's a standalone rack. Which now has a control box mounted on the wall, right next to the plug. Let's still get the tank out. There's room. Wires go down, everything wraps around. I got, swapped out the float to this side. Here's the water inlet. It's teed off in the back with the 1/4 inch line that goes to the float. We can turn this and inject a bunch of water into here very quickly. So that's all done. Goes with the drain. Now we're going to walk over here. It's into the quarantine room. Got a couple little fishies already in here. So we're going to have Sean move this control box over here and take all these cords and run them, whatever you got to do to make all of them reach for over here. I labeled the temp feeds. So in here, all he's got to do is move that control box onto the wall and reconfigure the cords to fit. This one we're going to leave here. Now we're going to walk down the hall over here to the frog system. Hey Jerry, how's it going? Alright, so here's a frog system. It's a real mess right now because I don't want to tidy up any cords because they're going to put a drain back in this corner. So I made a quick disconnect up here for the unions with 2 barb fittings so that they can pull it apart and wheel the frog system out of here. So when Sean comes, he's going to have to tidy up all these cords. Looks like most everything's labeled. He's going to have to connect the RO, obviously. Well, actually, it's connected now. They're going to have to pull it off. He's going to have to run a line from the RO back down to the float over here. And then run the drain line right here down to the new floor drain. There's a ton of extra 1/4 inch poly tube here. So that's the frog room. Now let's go back. Ah, you bastard! You scared the shit out of me. Pecker. Alright. So now we're going to go back. Sort of did this out of order. I got to get the key here. And then I'm going to go into the filtration room. Alright, there's the sand filters. In the planning, it doesn't really show this drain line. This is where the backwash drain line comes down here. I labeled on here for future tees to tie in the other 2 drain lines. Now in actuality, if you look, a straight shot, you put a T in there, I'm not sure you're going to be able to run the pipe straight in, unless you run 1.5 inches, which you might be able to do. Otherwise, we'll have to cock the T's and come in with like a 45 or a 22. No big deal. They want to see that in some 3D planning though. So then the drain line goes around behind the FBB, ends up right here. So here's the pump stand. We'll back up. The electrician's going to come, undo the old float. There's the one that's no good. I put the new one in and you'll see the cord right next to it. That's for the new float. Sean's going to have to, we're going to have to send a parts kit for him to basically cut all that shit out because you can't cut it and spin it. It's going to hit the other ball valves. So he's going to have to cut right above the ball valve, spin the 90 out, put a new one in, new ball valve, and run it back into the line. And that line comes over here. to the RO pumps. So somewhere along this line, as close to the intake as I can, or as we can, Sean's going to need to install a check valve. The manufacturer said to put it right on the intake, but if you look, it goes street 90, fitting, you know, fitting. There's no room to put a check valve in line. So we're going to have to put it probably over right under here, I guess. So that's what he's got to do. This is the new line that goes over to the standalone rack on the other side. That hose runs right up along here. That's tied in right there with that ball valve. This is where I sealed in, cocked in all of the crevices. We're going to need to do something about these. You know, I sealed in all the small crevices, and we got these giant holes here that go to the bottom of the pit, which they want sealed up. And they're going to have this conduit, like that one has, that runs down to the bottom with a water, I don't know, tell them a leak detector. So that's what's going on. We've got no water down there from where it was leaking. I redid that T, that T, and on the other side I did that T, silicone the hell out of it. I took measurements for the new fittings because these don't reach to the back wall. So we'll have new ones, and then Sean's got to run a bead of silicone there, bead of silicone across here. And then look out for that guy. And then the RO, they're going to put a mixing valve in because of the condensation problems. And they're going to add another outlet because right now we've got one side that's controlled by the rhombus switch and one side that's always hot. But the problem being we've got a transformer on the end of one plug. So this covers two plugs, and we can't plug the other one in over here because these have timers which have already been set, but they always have to have power for them to backwash and regenerate on the proper cycle. So I mapped out about where the plumbing's going to go for the future systems. Everybody was fine with that. We're going to have to add a couple more pieces of strut up here to support that plumbing. I even believe we're going to have to put one close on this side because when that pipe comes across and be 45 down, I don't think we're going to hit this, and you can't use the strut clamp crooked. You know what I mean? So probably going to need a couple more pieces of strut in the future racks. This is where the second leg for system 2 is going to end, and then the third leg will come right here. It leaves us about a half an inch to an inch from hitting the RO stand. I think we're going to be okay. This outlet's located low enough to go underneath here, but what we should do is we should mount this thing more towards the middle of the the last sand filter stand, to avoid it being in the way of the outlet, because I think the outlet's going to be right about here when you get it over there. So that's about it. I think everything else is good to go, and I got a plane to catch. There's where the rest of the pump stands are going to go. I think they're going to move this power that comes in because the system 2 butts up against system 1, so they're going to try and move the power up underneath maybe, or to the other side. And also I want Sean to finish running the wire loom because we got a big knot of probe cores. I haven't had time to get through that, so he needs to do that. And that's about it. I believe I have the heater set, so the UV is unplugged. No point in wasting the bulbs if this thing's going to run without animals for 2 months. So I got all the labeling done, and this thing's still not really working properly. Other than that, that's charged. We're in good shape. That is it. Off to the airport.